sound speeds. And if you ever master your audio or re-render it into a lower quality version to put onto something like a CD or to upload to a streaming media like YouTube, then you're probably curious as to what the quality difference is between the file as it was uploaded or put on the CD and your original. Well, believe it or not, there's a very simple test you can do to compare the two of them. Let's go over to the computer and I'll show you. Here we are on my computer, and I'm going to be downloading one of my recent podcasts for demonstration. So I'm on my podcast YouTube channel's homepage right now. If I click on the button in the upper right-hand corner and drop down to YouTube Studio Beta at the time of this video, perhaps in the future, they'll lose the beta and have a full-fledged version. Then on the left-hand side, you go to videos, and then you have a list of all your videos as they are online. Now, if I were to go across from this video right here, which is the one I'm going to be downloading, I'm going to bypass the little button that says view on YouTube, and instead I'm going to go to the little three buttons vertically aligned. Click on download from there. And then from there, it's going to download into a folder. Yes, this is audio compare folder. That's where it's going to be. Now, I know a lot of people that say that when you export from your DAW or your video editing software, then at that point you would want to render it into the file and quality that you would want to upload it to YouTube at. And the reason why is because it's going to save a lot of bandwidth from uploading full quality videos. But me personally, I go ahead and produce the maximum quality video that I would like to archive and then upload that to YouTube. Let's see how big this particular file is. It would be, this is the raw file, and it would be 2.59 gigabytes. So that's how big my file is when I upload it, or at least the most recent podcast. So now that I've uploaded this file and downloaded again, I should be able to compare my original file to the file that YouTube has archived. And in order to do that, I'm going to open them up into Reaper. Here we are in Reaper, my DAW, or digital audio workstation, if you're not familiar with the term. And we're looking right now at one audio file, and that is a stereo audio file from the 2.59 gigabyte video file as I uploaded it to YouTube. And if I scroll way in on this highest possible quality version, you're going to see all the little bitty peaks and valleys, or rather crests and troughs, to the different waves that match my speech. So this part was very loud, and that's opposed to the other areas, which would probably be a little bit quieter, like right around here, or dead quiet, which would be these little bitty areas where there's nothing going on at all. So this is probably me changing segments or something. Your bed, which is very, very convenient. As a matter okay. But here's the reason why I'm mentioning this. If you were to look at all of these individual waves, they go up over the center line and then back down, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this track to the lower level. Now, if I were to hit play at this time, you're going to notice that the audio is going to increase by 6 dB. I found a solution to that. I'm not going to play it right now because it's going to be very, very loud. The reason why it's 6 dB is because they are coherent sound sources. And if you want to know what that is, watch the video I've done on adding decibels. But if I were to zoom all the way in and look at these waves, you're going to notice because I duplicated it, the waves are identical, right? Identical. Now, if I were to want to compare them, the best way for me to do it is by hitting the inverse phase button. And by me doing that, instead of a wave going up and then down, it's going to go down and then up. So by me doing this right now, what you just saw by me hitting the phase inverted button on one of the duplicates, it is going to basically cancel itself out and play again when it plays against each other. Check it out. It's playing right now. You can see right here, but the master has absolutely nothing happening on it. And the reason why is because it's phase inverted. If I were to hit mute on this, which I will spend money on or I hit mute on this, when I went to Amazon and you're going to hear it again. But as soon as I release the mute, then basically you have a crest that's created, and at the exact same time, a trough is created. And when that happens, they cancel out. That's how that works. So this is going to allow us to do some pretty cool things because we understand that concept. For example, if I want to compare my audio between a video that I uploaded and compare it to my original file, all I have to do is align them over top of each other, right? And in doing so, as long as they're aligned exactly right, then they are going to be a perfect match. provided I do a phase inverse. And if I hit it play and I hear anything, then that difference is the difference in quality between my original and whatever I am downloading from whatever server and streaming service. So let me put it in perspective for you. I'm going to go ahead and open all the different files that I have prepared for us today. Like, here's my original. I have the downloaded file that we downloaded from YouTube, and I have 3 other samples that I have created from rendering out this original file right here on this screen. And I have one that is half of 44.1, or rather 42.050 at 24 bits. I have 48K and 16 bits, and I have 48K 24 bits. If I were to open up all of those files, then we're going to see how it is. And I also downloaded, just so that you know, I screen captured my audio playing from the internet. So I screen capture like the opening of this particular episode. So that way I could catch it the way it's streaming and hear the quality and compare it that way. So I'm going to go ahead and say open in separate tracks, and I'm going to go ahead and line them up. So now I've opened and aligned all of my sound files except for one. And I wanted to show you that one is the file that we downloaded from YouTube right here. Now, the reason why I did not align that one yet is because I'm going to show you the way that you can do it if you don't have an auto align feature. And that would be, at least the method I use, is by looking for some place, like you see the 2 little bitty peaks on all these lines right there, it's matching up right there. Now, because if I basically go all the way to the left, it's out of room, I can't shift it to the left anymore, I would rather move the one file than all the others. So I'm going to shorten the audio file, allowing myself a little bit of leeway on the left in order to slide it. And then what I'm going to start to do is I'm going to zoom in and align it a little bit more, aligning the vertical line directly with one particular point here. Now, I'm going to go ahead and solo this one and this one, which is the original file and the downloaded file, in order to match them up a little bit better. And if you notice here, the files are pretty close, but I need to go one little bitty pop that way in order to make sure it's fully aligned. That looks a little bit, it looks pretty close. I'm going to zoom in a little bit more. Now, as we get in closer, you'll notice that, like, you see how it goes flat right here, and then it drops a little bit right there. I'm going to find that little spot right there. And if you notice up above, it does the same thing. It's flat right there and flat down below. So I'm going to take it from the flat point right there, where it starts to drop on both files. Sorry, I just popped the mic. And if I go right there, just the very, very first bit of that dot right there, I'm going to line it the same exact place. And as long as I do that and I continue to zoom in and it continues to match, like you notice as I zoomed in a little bit, it fell off alignment just ever so slightly. Okay, it took me a moment to get everything perfectly in sync, but all the tracks now are. Now, one of the things I'm also going to do here is I'm going to go into my master audio level and turn on one of my favorite plugins, which is free, called Vox & Go Span. You can download it at voxandgo.com. Now, Vox & Go does have a whole bunch of really cool other plugins that you can buy, and they're quite powerful. I've used them in some of the other videos I've done on this channel. But one of the things I really like about it is how flexible it is. It allows you to go in and make all kinds of different changes and settings. You can check your average level. And in this case, I've actually set it to change and show me a different sample every 50 milliseconds. And as for smoothing, I'm not going to turn that on. I'm going to have it just basically be the raw file. But what I am going to do is turn on center. The reason why is because if I am playing an audio file and suddenly I want to hear how it is when it's phase canceled against another one, then I want to see what this meter does. They should cancel each other out and look completely flat. Let's see how that is, though, in the real world. So I'm going to start by playing the actual file, and then I'm going to allow myself to look at it the way it is when I put the 48K 24-bit, basically the exact duplicate, against itself. Let's get into it. Amazon input. So it's now canceling each other out sound-wise, but if you notice, the waves are still zeroed out. That's because on a very, very minute small level, which is like way, way down in like probably negative 30, 40, something like that, audio level, decibels, that's where it's centered to. If I were to drop down the list and not go to center, then it's not going to show me anything. But you cannot hear anything because this is visually showing me any little bitty microscopic little changes in voltage. And that's really all it's showing me because it's the master level. They canceled out perfectly, if you noticed. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to engage one of the different audio levels, which are not audio levels, but audio files. So let's go to the 16-bit file, 48K 16-bit, and I'm going to play it
in this intro,
and then I'm going to add the soloed file.
It is Saturday.
So the 16-bit file is also sounding pretty good. It zeroed out perfectly and phase canceled the original. So now I'm going to exit out. Now let's try the exact same thing. I'm going to play the exact same part, but now I'm going to add in the 22.050 24-bit file. Here we are with the original.
Thanks for joining me, and I don't want to spend any more of your time in this intro because we have a lot of stuff to cover.
Now, that is just as synced as everything else because I synchronized them all together. But if you notice the quality difference right there in the difference between the 48,000 samples per second and the 22,050 samples per second, the difference is they're not really, I mean, you see all the samples right here. It's got to take a guess as to the best way to match the original. And it's not going to perfectly match. And so what you're hearing there is the difference between the two audio files. And if you notice also, it's not even perfectly aligned anymore with the others, even though the file itself is perfectly aligned, because it is not a perfectly divisible number by 48,000. Like if it were 24,000, then the samples don't really match up perfectly. So even then, it's trying really hard to synchronize itself, but it's not going to.
Love it. The temperature is.
So now let's look at it with a different file. Now let's look at it with the original file as I downloaded from YouTube. Now, let me show you one other thing here real quick. My original file is a 48K file. You see that right there? But the file you download from YouTube, for whatever crazy reason, it is 44.1K. Why? I have no idea. It should be 48K because it's a video file. But for some reason, audio downloads from YouTube at 44.1K, or at least this one did. I have no idea why it changed it. Now, I'm also going to show you that I captured the screen where I recorded and downloaded that file directly to my computer, and I recorded that in 48K. So it's kind of weird. I'm uploading a 48K file. YouTube converted it to a 44.1, and then I captured it at 48K. So we'll see how that one sounds too. So let's hit play on this file, and we're going to see how it sounds when we compare. Let's do the same exact place. The original to the downloaded from YouTube version.
Love it. The temperature is finally starting to drop, and I'm very, very happy about that. Thanks for joining me. And
if you listen, it's not a perfect match. You'll actually hear it kind of almost sounding staticky and fizzy. That's because not only are the samples not perfectly matching, but the file itself is kind of fighting itself. And you're not going to notice this unless you try to phase cancel out the two files that are not perfectly sampled together.
Love it. The temperature is finally starting to drop, and
so in all honesty, that's not really a fair test. But what I did do is I downloaded the file directly from YouTube and I captured that. So, and then just so you know, in order for me to level match it, what I did is I zoomed way in. I picked like two little bitty peaks to peaks like that. I then hit play and I looked at my meter right there and I matched the original to my screen captured audio level until they were a perfect match, because I didn't want to go ahead and use one of my tools to completely change the LKFS setting. I just went ahead and just manually matched it. And in doing so, I mean, it doesn't sound very good when you do that. Here, I hit play. So that doesn't sound very good, is it? Geez, stop. All right, I'm going to go ahead and cancel that out because we don't need to do that and listen to that. That's garbage. So now if I were to hit play on the screen capture that is level matched to the original, we're going to see how that sounds.
My favorite month of the year. I love it. The temperature is finally starting to drop, and I'm very, very happy about that. Thanks for joining me, and I don't want to spend any more of your time in this.
Hear the difference? It's kind of strained. It's warbled. It's got a bunch of static type sounds to it, and it sounds like it's kind of struggling to fight and cancel itself out. Part of that is because the quality doesn't match, and because it's streaming, all I have to do is match up the audio level and make sure that it's stretched to match waves at the beginning and match waves at the end, which I did do by going into the beginning there and going into the end, and I actually did stretch it to where it needed to be, and then I reduced it. But Anyway, I'm getting off topic here. So it is perfectly matched, but the way that it is struggling against itself indicates that there is a quality difference because they're perfectly in sync. And that's one of the things you can tell. Now, the more different it sounds, the less it's canceling out from the original. So that is the subtraction test in its full glory. If you were to want to compare the audio quality between two sources of your podcast to download, for example, you can grab one of them, compare it to your original if you like to, or you can grab two of them and compare them when you stream them to your computer from two different sources. So whatever you decide to do and however you decide to do it, this serves as a wonderful test to compare your audio. So there you have it, the subtraction test in all of its glory. Thanks for tuning into this episode of SoundSpeeds. Be sure to tune in the future for more fun on the computer and sound advice. Have a question you'd like answered or want to add something? Be sure to write it in the comment section down below. You can also make a suggestion for future topics of discussion. Again, comment section down below, or you can email me at soundspeeds@yahoo.com. Be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you won't miss out on future sound advice.